Thanks.
Thank
Thank you. Council, Ben Israel Mendel Halevi. He asked me, does it matter that I'm Halevi? Did you tell her that? I'm like, we don't make differentiations like which area you come from. So just
There's only one. That's what I meant when I said Alright, so we'll call this test 1, and then we'll fiddle with it. If this doesn't work, we'll find maybe it's getting better mics that like the one.
yeah.
Like find a mic that I can access easily.
Yeah. Even I heard that. Don't shush. There's no shush. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Am I prepared? Are you listening? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? La 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 la, 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 la 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 la.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. Thank you. Please take a moment to find someone you haven't seen before, someone you're excited to see, someone you haven't seen in a while, and wish them a Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. So excited for you guys. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom.
She's yours, not mine. Sorry. I have enough girls.
It's so wonderful to be here tonight on this beautiful Shabbat. It's a delight for us to share it with you this evening. Parshat Noach. Lots to celebrate. So we're going to get right into our service, which will begin with our candle lighting this evening, found on pages 120 and 121. I would like to invite up the Stone family, Carl, Patricia, Zach, Erica, to lead us in our candle lighting this evening. Erica is becoming a bat mitzvah tomorrow, so we're delighted to celebrate here with her family this evening. and to allow them to begin our beautiful Shabbat service with the lighting of our candles this evening. All right, so what you guys are going to do you guys have a prayer book? No. It's okay.
We're on page 120, and please rise.
By our lives, give light to all who behold us.
As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. All right, so now you're going to light the candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'ad lifnei
That's for later. Please be seated. We're going to continue now with our Lecha Dodi on pages 138 and 139. Tonight we'll be singing verses 1, 2, and 9. And when we reach verse 9, we'll invite you to rise as we welcome in the Sabbath ride together through song and through joy and through community.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi, Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lehu v'necha, ki mekor habracha, merosh mikedem nisucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tila. Lecha Dodi, Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Bo'im v'shalom ateret bala,
We're going to continue now with our Chatzi Kaddish, which can be found on page 144. This prayer kind of breaks up the service, gives us a moment of pause, a moment of reflection, a sigh, a moment before our formal service. 144, Chatzi Kaddish.
Bagala, uvizman kariv imru, amen. Yesh merabah mevorach, le'olam ul'ol me'almaya, yitbarach ve'yishtabach, ve'yitpar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh, ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal, shemed kudsha leila min kol bechata ve'shirata, tush bechata ve'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru. Amen.
We prepare now for our call to worship, our Baruch Hu prayer, where we call out together as one congregation on page 146. We rise together as we call out in prayer.
Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Praise Adonai, to whom praise is due forever. Praise be Adonai, to whom praise is due now and forever. Please be seated. We continue now on page 148. I'll read the first line in Hebrew, and then we'll continue in the English translation together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsebaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Baruch atah Adonai Amari v'ravi.
Amen. We continue now on page 150 with Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Amcha Torah u'mitzvot Chukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbeinu uvkumeinu nasiach bechukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratcha ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
We continue now with our Shema, our call to oneness, both with our Creator and with each other, ourselves. Our Shema prayer can be found on pages 152 and 153. We rise as one congregation. We sing out with one voice.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever. Please be seated as we continue chanting on the next page.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובמלאכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
May we love our God, our Adonai, with all of our heart, wherever we look, whether we are sitting, whether we are rising, whether we are entering a room and remembering, whether we are following the commandments, and certainly when we teach our children and the next generations the wonderful things that God has given to us, our holy commandments. That's the way we remember. We continue now on page 157. We read at the top of the page responsively. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot.
Wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness.
That there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together, and singing out loud our joyous Mi Chamocha prayer, which can be found on page 158.
Mi
Eli, Eli, Anu ve'amru, Adonai lo le'olam va'ed. Yabba ba bim bim bai, yabba bai ba bim bai, yabba ba bim bim bai, yabba bai ba bim bai. Ay 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 ay, yabba bai ba bim bai. Ay 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 ay, yabba bai ba bim bai.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. We look to the first paragraph in English. We read together. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? We continue now on page 160. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up our guardian to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem.
Baruch atah Adonai haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. We continue now with Vishamru on page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש, שבת בי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורתם ברית עולם.
We prepare now for our tefillah, our Amidah, which is our standing prayers. They begin on page 164, continue to 166, and then 168 and 170. They talk about each patriarch and matriarch's special relationship with our amazing Creator, with Adonai, our God. Our second Givorot prayer speaks of the strength that we need to have and the strength that God gives us and God has in its existence. And our last prayer speaks of God's holiness, something that we seek to emulate every day through each action, through each choice that we make. Each prayer is special and significant. We rise now together as we pray.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaMara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei HaKol, Ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'Imaot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihan, Le'man Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha B'Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanata le'achayot ha'kol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh ha'kol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, U'kedoshim b'chol yom yhalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
In English, we read together, You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Please be seated. We continue now with the English of the Ritzei prayer, which can be found on page 174. Find favor, Adonai, our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer in love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants. Pour out your Spirit upon us. And at the bottom of the page we read, Let our eyes behold your loving return to Zion. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose presence returns to Zion. For our prayer for thankfulness, our prayer for gratitude, we're going to actually turn to page 257 because there's a version in there that we never get to say because it's But as we say this prayer for gratitude, I invite you to think about the week that has just passed. For some of us, there was something wonderful and exciting that happened that we are full of gratitude for. For others, there was something difficult perhaps that happened, but the community was there for support and solace. Perhaps for others, we are remembering a sad moment. Whatever your moment is, whatever your piece of gratitude, your piece of thankfulness is, wherever it comes from, whether it is through community support, whether it is through something miraculous that happened that you weren't expecting, I want you to take a moment to just hold on to that as we look at this prayer and we read it responsively. For the expanding grandeur of creations, worlds known and unknown, galaxies beyond galaxies, filling us with awe and challenging our imaginations. Modim Anachnu Lach. For this fragile planet Earth, its times and tides, its sunsets and seasons. Modim Anachnu Lach. For the joy of human life, its wonders and surprises, its hopes and achievements. Modim Anachnu Lach. For human community, our common past and future hope, our oneness transcending all separation, our capacity to work for peace and justice in the midst of hostility and oppression. Modim Anachnu Lach. For high hopes and noble causes, for faith without fanaticism, for understanding of views not shared. Modim Anachnu Lach. For all who have labored and suffered for a fair world, who have lived so that others might live in dignity and freedom. Modim Anachnu Lach. For human liberties and sacred rights, for opportunities to change and grow, to affirm and choose. Modim Anachnu Lach. We pray that we may live not by our fears, but by our hopes, not by our words, but by our deeds. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving.
Amen.
Amen. We turn now back to our Shabbat evening service on page 178 for our Shalom Rab prayer, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים
We now take some time, some moments for silent prayer, the prayers of our hearts, or if you prefer, you can look at the prayers that are found on page 179 and 180. But this time is yours. We continue now with our Kiddush prayer, which can be found on page 123. We once again invite up our Bat Mitzvah family, Erica's family, to join us as we lead this prayer together. When you reach the page, I invite you to rise. You guys want to bring your prayer books? As we'll be reading the English on page 122. All right. Grape juice. Grape juice. Wine. So go ahead and read the English here.
And there was evening, and there was morning, the 6th day. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the 7th day, God finished the work that God had been doing. And God ceased on the 7th day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho Be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron le'maseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tefillah le'mikra'ei kodesh, zecher le'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu b'charta Ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat L'chaim. L'chaim.
Drink from the cup.
You won't turn into something more.
If you would like. That's all good. Hey, somebody took my prayer book.
Oh, I did. Sorry.
That's okay. It's all good. Oh, wait, this is not mine.
Somebody has your.
Oh, just kidding. Here. And whew, the reappearing prayer book. How did that happen? All right, so we're going to remain standing because we're going to transition now to our Torah service, which begins on page 362. I would like to invite up Gil Sachs to help me with my Torah scroll, and we'll pray together as we bring out our beautiful Torah scroll this evening.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'en kemasecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai
of mercy, favor Zion with your goodness. Rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, for in you alone do we trust, sovereign, high, and exalted, God eternal. We turn the page.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim.
In this scroll is a secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. We turn the page.
Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato, Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai iti, Ule'amema Shemo Yachdav, Lecha Adonai Hagiduna, Ve'agivuna, Ve'atiferet, Ve'anetzach, Ve'ahod, Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Ki chol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Lecha Adonai hamamlecha, v'mitnaseh lechol erov. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, al shlosha devarim, ha'olam omed. Al haTorah ve'al avoda ve'al gemilut chasadim, al haTorah ve'al avoda ve'al gemilut chasadim. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu lehar kodsho.
Please be seated. Well, if you remember last week, we left off with the story of creation. So does anybody know what Torah portion comes next?
I do.
Plant.
I can even
Plant.
find it.
Plant doesn't even work because plants were last week, right?
That's true.
But All right, so anybody else besides, yes? Noah, that's right. It's Noah.
You knew that, right, Erica?
Erica should know.
Yeah, she knew.
She knew.
She knew.
She was another plant. And if you want to follow along, we're going to read the beginning of the Noah portion, which is found in Genesis chapter 6, verses 9 and 10. There's some handout sheets, but if you would prefer to follow along in our Chumash, you can turn to page 26. Whatever is more easy and convenient for you. And most people are familiar with the Noah story. There are actually movie adaptations, which tends to, invite more people to be a little more familiar with the story. There are several comedy sketches about Noah. There are people who have tried to reconstruct the ark, actually, based on the measurements that are in the Torah scroll. And certainly it's one of those portions that as religious school kids, we especially pay special attention to because there are animals involved. And somehow lots of kids, and not to say that there aren't also many adults, because I know we have many animal lovers here as well. We have great love and respect for our animal friends, and tomorrow is our blessing of the pets.
No tarantulas. Just saying. And snakes. No snakes.
Yes.
No. Sorry. Bring them in their tank. That's okay.
Somebody asked me if someone had ever brought fish, but I don't know that anyone has ever brought.
Bowl?
Yeah, I thought that would be kind of dangerous to transport
We've had
fish.
iguanas.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about as exotic I think we've had.
Okay. Fair enough. But certainly because Noah puts all of these animals on the ark and protects them in a way from the flood, this is a big moment. And Noah is seen as somebody who's righteous, which is why he and his family are saved from this horrible fate of the flood. There are also lots of other ancient cultures that have flood stories in their narratives as well. So it's interesting to think that maybe there is some truth to these stories, especially when you see them replicated so many times. But also one of the other highlights, at least in my mind, of this Torah portion in regards to the Noah piece of the Noah story is the rainbow, the covenant that God makes with Noah, promising never again, to destroy the earth for our misdeeds. But it's in our hands, right? Now we have to protect our earth. So that's something that we should take seriously because we only have one of them. So hopefully when we see a rainbow, we might be reminded of that promise and that calling to take place in. All right, I've rambled enough. We're going to actually read our Torah portion now. I put for our Aliyah, we have Cantor Alana's father, actually, that we're going to call up Ya'amod, Asher Anshel, Ben Yisrael Mendel Halevi La'aliyah.
Baruch Hu es Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bocha Bono Mikol Ha'amim V'nosam Lano es Toraso. Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Eila toldot Noach, ish tzadik tamim haya bedorotav, et Elohim hitalech Noach, vayole Noach 3 banim, et Shem, et Cham, et Yafet.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Nosam Lanu Torah Emes V'chayei Olam Netapis Ocheinu. Baruch Atah Adonai Nosein HaTorah.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Put it down. So silly.
It's the night of disappearing things. And these are the generations of Noach. For Noach was a righteous man and blameless within his generation. And Noah walked with God, and God walked with Noah. And Noach had 3 sons. He had Shem, and Ham, and Yafet. with our Sefer Torah within our midst, our minds and our thoughts turn to those who are in need of healing, whether physical or spiritual. In particular, in our congregational community, we keep in our hearts Patty Abrams, Mike Allen, Joyce and Jim Amato, Marjorie Bernstein, Lee Bialer, Jean Blechman, Elizabeth Brooks, Ashley Bryant, Corey Bryant, Gilda Barak, Dory Byen, Roberta Cooperman, Susanna Fitch, Edwin Daniel, Dr. Vincent Detrinas, Doris Dito, Dr. Neal, Sharon Eckes, Phyllis Eisenberg, Lenny Eisler, Tom Ellsbury, Janet Falco, Dorothy Farrell, David Freed, Bob Ferguson, Tyrone Gibbons, Dorothy Gilbert, Martin Goldstein, Paul Greenfield, Louis Gutierrez, Jennifer Goncliffs, Thea Gunther, Gina Haft, Sydney Hart, Peter Haynes, Mark Harris, Cameron Jones, Denise Karp, Lee Kaufman, Michael Lakin, Bernie Lazen, Cecile Lishnig, Barbara Maloney, Alyssa Markal, Frank Michelson, Kim Lorenzo, Joan Mello, Marvin Migdol, Roberta Miller, Eli Mueller, Steve Napolitano, Christine Newman, Hunter O'Leary, Lois Oringer, Mike Pardaman, Stephanie Pluka, Sharon Portnoy, Jennifer Ann Riley, Dimitri Rigos, Martin Reiger, Ethan Roginski, Lonnie Rosenfeld, Marlene Rosalinsky, Beth Roth, Helene Rothstein, Father Joe Schlafer, Bernie Schwartz, Benjamin Shalhevet, Jerry Saracena, Jan Silverman, Les Spurgell, George Vassallo, Jill Verbeck, Marvin Wyman, Jenna Weisberg, Allison Wexler, Barry and Cynthia Willens, Esther Wilkins, Merrill Williams, and Abby Zeltman. If there are names to add or names that I might have inadvertently mispronounced, I invite you to share those at this time.
Jessica Bora, Jean Dactel, Mirasa.
Thank you. Yes. Gil.
Alejandro Nava, Matthew Zender, and Dennis Baker.
Thank you. Yeah, Bruce. Yeah, Barbara.
Miller and Val Miller, and Lenny Nolan.
If you're watching online, if you have names to add, now's your opportunity. We turn to page 371 in the middle of our prayer book for our Misha Berach prayer, our prayer for healing.
Before us, help us
now prepare to lift our Torah scroll with our Hagba, which can be found if you want to follow on page 370 at the bottom. We're going to rise for our Torah lifting, and then after that, we'll return our Torah scroll to the Ark, and that service begins on page 374.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. לי 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 לי
Page 374. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai ki nisgav shemo levado.
Hodol aleret v'shamayim v'yarem kerem yamo tehila lecho chasidah livnei Yisrael am keruvo. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it. Bless you. And all its supporters are happy. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Return us to you, Adonai, and we will return. Renew our days as of old.
It's Haim Lamachazikim Ba V'tomecha Meushar Deracheha Darchei Noam V'chol Netivoteha Shalom Ashivenu Adonai Elecha V'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Please be seated. As a parent, I find that I am constantly telling my kids to make good choices in the hope that they will grow up to be righteous adults. People who are not only caring and compassionate and empathetic to the people around them, but who actively seek to make the world a kinder place for the vulnerable and a more caring place for all the minority races, gender identities, and religious affiliations that exist. And sometimes I think that all they hear is follow the rules and you will get a reward or be praised. Fail to follow the rules and you will be punished. For many parents and teachers, community activists, and members, this critical disconnect is something that we face every day. How can we teach authentic activism, compassion, and empathy? The same goal exists in our Jewish world. We constantly read about biblical characters who are righteous and praised by God, but who don't always apply that characteristic to their lives. It's as if they feel that listening and following the rules is good enough. In this week's Parsha, we discover one such character. We read that Noah is a righteous man, blameless in his generation. He follows God's instructions. He builds the ark. He gathers the animals of every kind to place on the ark. He sets sail as God destroys a world of wicked people. However, there are no tales of Noah trying to better the people around him, or trying to relate to them, or to aid them in any way. It's as if Noah's righteousness is confined to his own personal bubble. The Hasidim have a simple way of making the point. They called Noah a tzaddik im peltz, a righteous man in a fur coat. There are two ways of keeping warm on a cold night. You can wear a fur coat or light a fire. Wear a fur coat and you can only warm yourself. Light a fire and you can warm others. We are taught and encouraged to light a fire. However, hopefully not near forests and not in a place where they're going to catch and cause other issues. And you might also take issue with fur coats, given that this is also a parsha about animals and how we treat them with respect. But that aside, the point is still good. Noah starts in a good place, but there is room for improvement. Perhaps this is why his story takes place so early in the narrative, because we must begin with simple instructions. As our stories continue to unfold, we need to dig deeper and realize that being good ourselves is not always good enough. We must find ways to persuade and inspire the others in our midst to make choices that will help not only our immediate families, but our communities, our nation, and our world. After all, we're all in the same boat. Ba-dum-bum. And if we can't figure out a way to make it work, who will? May we all work together to become brighter and stronger in our form of righteousness, one that allows our people to truly become a light unto the nations and inspire each other to work for a more compassionate, inclusive, and kinder world for all. Kain Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue now with our Aleinu prayer, which can be found on page 586 in the back of our prayer book. This is a prayer that we rise for.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, v'aten gdula liotzer b'reshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, v'lo samanu kemishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר והיה למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו ושמו אחד.
Before we continue with our service, I would like to invite up our Bat Mitzvah family to present Erica with her talit that she's going to be wearing tomorrow morning as she becomes a Bat Mitzvah and reads from the sacred Torah and shares some words of wisdom and leads us in all of our prayers. No pressure. But now is the time that we get to invite in the community, our congregation, to take a moment in this very auspicious and celebratory time. And the parents get to share some words of blessing. So why don't we start with her blessing? Right, this doesn't have the whole prayer on it, but do you know the whole?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. Baruch atah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kashanu mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hitatef b'tzitzit.
Amen.
Amen. You can come here a little closer. It's all right. You're doing great.
Oh, Erica, where to begin? So 13 years tomorrow, right, was when we held this little 6-pound peanut in her hand, and I had absolutely no idea what to do with it, nor which end to hold it from. So when the nurse started to leave, and I begged her not to go because I was terrified of breaking you, and that's when Mom said, "Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it." I didn't. Still haven't. But you have continually showed us how breaking the rules looks good. That I can honestly say. And, you know, as you've taught me and this one here, and definitely your mom, more about love than I can probably say anybody else ever has. And we are more proud of you now than obviously ever before, but not just because tomorrow is your bat mitzvah, but because of all the obstacles you've overcome and all the things you've achieved in such a short time. And as a daughter and a friend and as a baby sister, a cousin and a granddaughter, a family comedian, you always pick the perfect time to say the funny things, which is usually during dinner time when we all have a mouthful of food. I can honestly say, like I said, we couldn't be more proud of you and everything else that you've done up until this point. And I can only hope that the world is ready, and if not, beware, you're coming. So, Mazel Tov, and we love you.
Hug.
Bring it in.
Aww. You guys. It's beautiful.
That's
Don't
yours.
forget.
No, you don't take this.
This is mine.
All right. So you can go
Thank you
sit
very
down.
much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
that really beautiful moment with us. And we look forward to celebrating and continuing to celebrate tomorrow. Our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth. In particular, this week, we keep in our mind our community partner, Joe Grafeo, whose life was lost this past week. He was the choir director over at St. John Nepomucene, whom has been part of our interfaith services for so many years, and who also, interestingly, worked at another Jewish congregation as their choir director. And from everything that I have heard and witnessed about him, was someone who just filled the space that he entered with his whole presence and was larger than life. And certainly we offer our friends at St. John's our sympathies and our condolences and our love during this time of loss. Cantor Alana was actually able to sing with the choir.
I didn't get a chance to sing actually when I was supposed to for family circumstances, but I actually did rehearse with them. So I was able to rehearse with them. But Joe, as you said, filled the room with his presence and was always willing to bring such a big feeling to everything. Especially when we did the Thanksgiving service, he was very instrumental in helping us pick what songs to sing and getting everybody involved, our choir, St. John's Choir, and anybody from the mosque who wanted to sing, though we never really got anybody, but we were all very much together. And when I would bring my guitar, he was sort of taken aback. He didn't really know how to deal with that because he was much of a piano player. And I remember one year when we did the Thanksgiving service, I sang a song with the guitar, and there were 3 parts, 3 verses. And we had different age groups do the verses. And the last verse was the older set, and so the older set of our choir was singing it, but he had never sung it before. And at the actual service, all of a sudden he was singing. And it was beautiful to be present with him, learning from him and singing with him. And he'll be sorely missed.
And certainly there are many, many other folks that we are remembering in our hearts this evening, people in our congregational community whose yard sites fall on this evening, on this Shabbat, and this week. They include Abraham Becker, Andrew Zevin Birch, Charles Berlinger, Eleanor Casuto, Irvin Cohen, Estelle Cohen, Ozzie Cohen, Beverly Davidman, Chester Didner, Benjamin Doling, Lily Epstein, Bernard Ertraker, Leo Feather, Fanny Finkelstein, William Fogelnest, Robert Gansrow, Alex Gold, Jerry Goldberg, Harold Greenfield, Jacob Greilshammer, Clara Greilshammer, Sol Harris, Gertrude Hyman Jerome, Jerry J. Jerome, Ethel Katz, Ann Comus, Minnie Lavender, Rose Levinglich, Irving A. Levy, Regina Loris, Frida Mattis, Florence Novodov, Carol Orkin, Jerome Orkin, Ellie Ostro, Mildred Ostro, Ann Plutzer, Nathan Rosenberg, Millie Sacher, Mildred Seedorf, Usher Slotnick, Marilyn Somberg, Janine Spector, Abraham Tinkler, Sarah Wexler, Barry Zimberman, Rosa Schreiber Siegelman. If there are other names to share, or names that I might have inadvertently mispronounced, I invite you to share those names at this time. Yes.
George Kaufman and Jimmy Boy.
Yes. And if there are those watching online that have names to add, I invite you to do so at this time.
So I just want to add one thought, as many of you have heard. This is the yahrzeit of my mother's passing 2 years ago, and I just wanted to say that when someone passes and you miss them all the time, you think about them all the time, I realized that throughout the day, there are things my mother would say or my mother would do, and it pops in my head, and I react or I do something that she does, and that's how she stays alive in me. And just an example, I don't even remember what the question was, but I was watching Jeopardy yesterday, and there was I think it was yesterday, and there was a category of New Testament, of all things, and I didn't think I would know any of the answers, but I actually did, and one of them was a phrase that my mom had said. I was like, oh my gosh, I know that one. So when you remember something about the person who was part of your life, that becomes the link between you and them. And then you pass that on to your children, and it becomes the link between you and your children. So always remember those in your life who've passed on in that way, and you will always feel like they're with you and alive.
May we always continue to do that very thing. And may we be together and present for each of us who has lost a loved one. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We turn now to our Mourner's Kaddish Kaddish Yatom, page 598. I invite you to rise if it is your custom to do so. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agalau v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei
Kusha brichu leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran me'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama Rabbah min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say,
Amen.
Please be seated. I'd now like to invite up Steve Sonkin, our immediate past president, and someone whom I've grown to respect greatly, to share some wonderful things that are going on in our congregational community, which we hope that you will become coming to and become a part of.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Tonight's honoring is sponsored by Carl and Patricia Stone in honor of the bat mitzvah of their daughter Erica. Mazel tov. Enjoy your day tomorrow. Also, Arthur Putzer in memory of his wife and Cantor Alana's mother, Ann. Our adult classes have begun and will continue until April 6th. If interested in Intro to Judaism adult education classes, please call the temple office. Blessing of the Pets will be held tomorrow, November 2nd at 12:15. Somebody sneak in a tarantula.
No. No.
Brotherhood
No
Breakfast.
picture with Cantor Alana then. Get that.
Brotherhood Breakfast will be held this Sunday, November 3rd, beginning at 9:30. We will have a movie, The Catcher Was a Spy, which stars Paul Rudd, which some people have heard of, and have a guest speaker also prior to the movie. If you haven't said you're coming, there's no reason to call the office because it's too late, but you can still tell me tonight that you're coming. Veterans Day service will be held on November 8th at 7:15. Veterans of all branches of service are welcome with their families to be honored and receive a blessing together with their comrades.
We'll also be celebrating the 5th graders who will be coming to that and helping to lead that Shabbat service.
I know, I'm going to say that.
Oh, sorry. Just kidding, nothing to see here. No backseat announcement givers.
The annual Interfaith Thanksgiving service will be held on Sunday, November 17th at 7 p.m. at St. John's the Thomasine Church in Bohemia. The theme is Stronger Together. All are welcome to attend. Sisterhood invites you to spend an evening with Karen Nguyen, I hope I said that right, the author of Searching for Bubby Fischer, The Path to Mahjong Wisdom. This event will take place on Tuesday, November 19th at 7 p.m. Please RSVP to the temple office. December 7th is a night for dummies because we will be hosting an evening of dinner and a ventriloquist act.
Oh.
This is for adults only, yes, for dummies. Dinner is at 6:30 and the show is at 7:30. Please RSVP to the temple office and look at the bulletin for more information. Seating is limited for dinner, so RSVP as soon as you can. China Shop and Best Market. If you would like to purchase or donate to the temple, please see Rich Lindner, who's standing over there, looking for you. This coming week, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, we have the Bat Mitzvah service for Erica Stone. On Monday, the 4th, we have senior youth group at 6 p.m. Tuesday, we have a sisterhood board meeting at 7:30. On Thursday, we have communications meeting at 7 p.m., a Board of Education meeting at 7:30 p.m., and a fundraising meeting at 8 p.m. And Friday, we have a family service at 7:15, which is our Veteran Shabbat service, and as you also heard, for grade 5.
Nothing to see here.
Have a great week.
Ignore the rabbi in the back.
We're going to conclude our service with the singing of Shalom Aleichem on page 627. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi-melech, malachei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu. Baruchuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi-melech, Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We now gather together for a brief closing prayer. I only ask that you look around, and if there's somebody who is not included, if you are gathering together and who wants to be included, that you invite them in for our closing prayer, the Shabbat Noach. Shalom Aleichem, peace be to you. May we enter in peace, may we depart in peace. May we find righteousness in our lives and inspire it in others. And may we create a covenant among ourselves and our people that is special and beautiful and is like the rainbow that we might see in the sky. And may we have a wonderful and prosperous Shabbat Shalom as we say together. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.